All right, so installing an Esprit seat post and wedge. This is something that's very easy to do, but because it's easy to do, if you haven't done it before, it's also easy to make a mistake and end up with a seat post that's not as tight as you want. So first things first, you're gonna grab your seat post wedge. This one's already been greased, so I'm just showing you as a demonstration. You wanna get some grease in between the two parts of the wedge and onto the threads on the bolt, so super easy. I like a lot of grease on that interface. Totally fine to have some grease where the wedge contacts the frame. You just want to keep this front silver face of the wedge clean. That's really, really important. So this, we put a little carbon paste on. If you're using one of our seat posts, it's got an anti-slip coating on it, so you don't need to worry too much about that. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your ball end hex key, you're going to put your wedge in, spin it down a little bit, and then I use the hex key to hold the wedge in place. You don't want to drop it. That's a bummer. You're going to put your seat post in and set your saddle height. And then you can see it's loose. So you want to use the ball end of the hex key to tighten that down. And the ball end is really important. It's going to let you do that kind of quickly and avoid adding any side load. The way that the wedge works and the way that the bolt interfaces with it, the tolerances are pretty tight. So if you put a hex key on and you get a bunch of downward pressure or side loading pressure, you can put a lot of pressure into the bolt and wedge where they can bind up on each other. And in that situation, you're not actually transferring any of that torque into the seat post. It's just all kind of held in the wedge assembly. And then your seat post won't get tight. We don't want that. So you're going to use the ball end to kind of get things pretty snug. Then once it's pretty snug, you're going to use the L end of your hex key. I just give it a little more. And at this point, it's already tight. We've been really careful not to side load that bolt. So all of the clamping force and all of the torque that you've put into it has gone directly backwards into holding the seat post in place. So now you do have to torque it. The torque spec is 6 Newton meters. The hardware we use will go far beyond that without breaking. It's really high grade hardware. You're not going to break the frame. There's a lot of carbon in there. But at the same time, it should hold at 6 Newton meters. So if you're going far beyond that, you got a problem. So you can see I just did that finger type, probably about 4 Newton meters, and it's not moving. I have my torque wrench set at 6. You want a nice long hex bit to keep everything out of the way of the seat post. Give yourself some clearance. And here you go. Great. 6 Newton meters. It's tight.